Welcome. My name is Tracy Cook, and this is the podcast series Victim to Victory. In this series, it gives a voice to those that have overcome challenges in all forms that dare greatly to share their real stories. Amazing humans that have seen hope and risen above those adversities to become victorious. Then go on to inspire and support others to do the same. And today we are giving a voice and a platform for Kendra Vuticevski. Did I pronounce your name right?
It was perfect.
Yay! Welcome, Kendra. Thank you very much for being on the Victim to Victory podcast. We would love to get to know you. And I'll just give our audience a little bit of a backstory. We actually connected through the Ray and Jessica Higdon Play to Win reality show in 2019. This woman is a powerhouse. She is a super sophisticated, well-postured businesswoman who is tenacious, friendly, kind, and has the most beautiful house I have ever seen. And she shows up very powerfully. She has got a very great story of impact that I think you will really connect with today. And I know that Kendra is real, and I know that her story will touch your heart. So Kendra, thank you very much for joining us today. I so appreciate having you here, and we would love to get to know you. Please tell us your story and who is Kendra?
Well, first of all, Tracy, thank you for the incredible intro. And I do owe you a tour of my house. I won't forget that. But I was truly honored that you reached out and thought that I could add value to your cause, because what you're doing is just so incredibly rewarding and inspiring to those that you reach and those that you touch. And so I'm honored to be able to serve your mission. So thank you for that. Kendra's story in a nutshell, I am a wife, a mom to two boys, and I spent a lot of my time up until the past year and a half or so, just really not sure exactly of what my calling and my purpose in this world was. And, having goals and desires to achieve, absolutely. I think you mentioned that, just like kind of going after things and setting a goal and achieving it has always been my motto, but not with any real purpose. And there have been a lot of, challenging things that I think everyone has to overcome in their life. And I'm, no different. And we all carry these stories with us that help shape who we are. And there have just been a few that have really kind of changed the course for my life and kind of where I'm at now.
Fantastic. And I know that with your boys in the current situation, you're homeschooling as well at the current situation. So take us back to, who was Kendra before you were a wife and a mum, and take us through your journey.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, the whole homeschooling thing right now during this time has been an interesting journey in and of itself. But I am one of two children to my parents. My parents are incredible people. Unfortunately, they were not able to stay married, so they did divorce while my brother and I were young. And they both remarried incredible people who are, involved in our lives, and we're grateful for that. However, growing up, I just never really felt guided, right? Like I wasn't sure what I was supposed to do after school. What happens after your formal education, after high school here? Like, what should I really do with my life? And during even high school, I just couldn't wait to get out on my own. I just felt like this burning desire for independence. I had a lot of struggles in school, not grade-wise, but just people-wise. I don't know why I was bullied, but I was bullied often. And, it's still is a sensitive spot for me even to this day, because sadly, bullying still exists even in our adulthood in other ways. And it's just, it's a painful moment, but I decided to, just go get a job and put myself through school and just kind of wing it. I was just always winging it, just trying to seek, what should I do? I don't know. Just like kind of a cloud floating on the breeze and not sure where it's going to end up. And that's kind of how I was living my life, my young adult life. And gosh, Tracy, there have been so many experiences that I got myself into that were not additive to my life at all. Some poor choices that I made along the way. And I think that's just all part of the journey of becoming and discovering that calling and that purpose. And I did put myself through school. I worked full time to do that. And through that process, I immersed a ton of financial debt, a ton. Let me just tell you, living beyond my means, living in a nice apartment, driving a nice car, wearing nice clothes, like, just doing all these things that I thought everybody did. But all this debt, like, it was crushing my soul. It was crushing my soul inside. And I was like, how am I ever going to climb out of this? Right? I'm this person floating around, and now I find myself in this like panic of, I can't even breathe some days. I'm like robbing Peter to pay Paul. I'm like borrowing money from a check advance place to be able to pay my rent late because that fee would be less than this. I mean, it was a nightmare. And I was like, how am I going to get out of this?
So do you think that while you're kind of discovering almost who you are, that after being bullied, you had something to kind of prove by the nice cars and the lifestyle to kind of try and find your purpose?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think it was just that I didn't have guidance. And so I think it was just a series of attempts to discover what I was supposed to do, right? And you see all the things pushed at you from a media perspective, from magazine covers, from friends, from, everywhere telling you who you should be and how you should look and what you should do and what you should drive and where you should live and, all of those things. And I was trying to figure that out along the way.
And
But
that's so true. That is
yeah,
so true. And we see it more and more now as well. The media it's almost like they hold people by force. You will do this and you will buy this. And it's like programming people to fit a certain
right.
mold that they want. And there's an element of marketing, but there's also that influence and persuasion over younger people who are lost and trying to find themselves. And then they go after that and end up spending a ton of money and getting in financial debt like yourself.
I couldn't agree with you more. And just once you're aware of it, but at that young age, like I was oblivious. I mean, I could have just had my head buried in the sand because I just was oblivious to what was really at stake. And I didn't have enough sense of internal self-worth and guidance, I guess. Worth is like a strong word. I mean, I knew I had self-worth, but just, I guess that like beacon of knowing within you of how you should guide yourself, that was absent. I didn't have that beacon. I didn't have that direction. I didn't really have that hope, but I just had to I was like so focused, like maniacally focused on figuring out how am I going to get myself out of this hole? How am I going to get myself out of this hole? And so I just decided to leverage what I knew I had, which was like, book smarts. And so I was like, I'm just going to work my booty off, I'm just going to get this job and work my booty off and try to get promoted. And that was a path that worked for me. I would like go into a job and I would give it my all and would be recognized by leadership. And so with that, right, typically in a corporate setting comes more opportunities for promotion, and financial increase comes with promotion, right? So then I was just like, oh my gosh, Tracy, I started to get actual money. Like I was like, oh my gosh, I actually have money to pay all these bills now. And I actually have money left over. Oh my gosh, I'm just going to put more money in that and I'm going to save now. And so it just, again, all this is self-guided and just kind of figuring this out. And one day I was just like, I set my eyes on a number and I was like, if I can just make in the US $100,000, I will feel like I have arrived. I will be able to pay off all this debt from school, from credit cards, from all the things, all my past mistakes and learnings. And I just like set this intention and believed it and just focused on it like it was real. And I imagined what it would feel like to have achieved that goal. And then 6 months later, I got a promotion. And kid you not, my offer letter was $99,000. I was like,
Wow.
I just felt like, yes. And so through that job, I was able to pay off all of that debt. And I just worked my booty off to overcome, because Tracy, it is suffocating. It is very suffocating to not know how you're going to climb out of a situation that you're really not even sure how you got yourself into, but it was stupid. And along the way, I met my husband, my now husband, an incredible man. And we began dating and decided, he proposed and we were gearing up for our wedding. And really another big tragedy in my life struck. And that was when my brother died of a drug overdose. And I knew he'd been struggling for a while, and my family and I tried to help as best that we could. We were really probably misinformed. I think there's a lot more access to help and information and resources today than there were in 2006. And that was 9 months before my wedding. And that just like rocked my world. I'm like, oh my God, like now I'm an only child and I have this important milestone in my life, and just all the feelings. I didn't even know how to proceed, you know?
And what was your brother's name, Kendra?
Brian. My
Brian.
brother's Brian. Yes.
Yeah. So
So
he had quite a struggle with drugs.
unfortunately, yeah, he was in a car accident, and really bad car accident. And through trying to recover and ease the pain, he became addicted to oxycodone. And that just led down a very slippery slope of, being in and out of jail, in and out of, terrible situations, homeless in his car at one point, just unwilling to be open to changing, and so it just really hurt. It really hurt us all that, number one, that we couldn't do anything about it. And then number two, the finality of it all. And we're like, how does this even happen? Here I'm over here on this side, like about to ride off with my white knight in shining armor on the white horse and get married and start this fabulous life, like get myself out of debt, like all these incredible things. And then like this, and we're like, we have the same childhood. We grew up in the same situation. How do these things happen? But Tracy, the reality is you could be one situation or circumstance away from something like that.
Exactly.
And it can change everything.
And it can. And obviously family was trying to help him, you mentioned, and he just wasn't open to that. And I totally agree with that, Kendra. We're just one circumstance away, or one situation away, that can literally change our lives all the time, constantly.
Yeah, it is. It's unimaginable. I really love and respect and adore my brother. He's got a place in our home where his photo is up. My boys know who he is. We actually just visited his grave last Sunday. He's a big part of our life, just sadly in a very different way than we had imagined. Oh, I don't want to get emotional about it. But that like was a situation that really rocked my world. And when kind of life starts to become a little bit normal and you go back into the normal daily life, and here I am, like now this corporate girl, and like climbing this corporate ladder because I've seen financially what it was able to do for my past circumstances. And so I just became like really focused on like getting to the top, whatever that top was. Again, not really any compass or beacon here to guide me, just this, I guess, visual of what else I saw out there. And so just, again, this like no real internal compass, just like going after things. And, did really well. I think in the corporate world, and achieved, some really great experiences, met some great people, had a fabulous salary. I traveled on private jets and stayed in the most fabulous of hotels, and like had all this experience. But Tracy, something was still lacking. And it was just like, what am I doing? Like, is this really all there is? I like married my husband. We had two sweet babies, at the time. They had a lot of health issues, like not a lot, but, some respiratory issues. I mean, there were trips to emergency rooms, and I'll never forget. I was leaving Chicago from a work trip, getting ready to board the plane. I called my husband, tell him, hey, I'm on my way home. I'll see you and the boys at home. And he was very short with me. And I was like, oh my gosh, what did I do? Like, did I do something? Is he just frustrated, with me gone? And I land, and he didn't want to tell me that my youngest son had to be taken by ambulance to Children's Hospital because he couldn't breathe. And I was like, oh, here I am. What am I doing? Like, yes, I'm making an impact in a corporation, and that felt great. But I'm like, the real things that matter, I'm going to tear up. I wasn't there for. I wasn't, as a mom, there for that situation. And I was like, I've got to change, So I did at least make a change in my corporate direction. So something that would have no travel, no weekends, a little bit more balance in my life. And that was good for a while. And then my mom got diagnosed with not one, but two rare cancers, stage 4. Literally, I'll never forget sitting in this oncologist's office, and this doctor tells her at 69 years old to get her affairs in order. There's really not much that he can do. And I'm like, what? So we walk out. It's my mom and my stepdad and I. And because I had met them there, and we're like standing in front of her car, and I'm like, Mom, what did you think about that? And she's like, I'm never going back in there. I said, no, you're not. So it was my mission to help advocate for her, to get her the treatment that she deserved. And we, got lots of other opinions from leading institutions in the type of cancer, lymphoma, that she had. And she was able to be treated, and it was rough. I'll never forget the day that I took some leave off of work so that I could be with my mom at her appointments, and then she had to have a stem cell transplant. So I was with her that month that she was doing that. I would drive my boys to school, and then I would drive to the hospital and sit with her during the day. And I'll never forget the day I showed up. It was a weekend, and she's like, you're going to shave my head today. And I was like, what? I mean, just these things that you don't realize. And it was in these moments that I'm like, what am I doing? Like, it's like the third time I'm asking myself, what am I doing? What is happening here?
I see that
I kept getting these wake up calls.
It is. It's a wake up call, 100%. And it sounds like there's always been a two sides to you, that you've got the private jets and the corporate job and the financial house in order, and you're working your butt off, and that side is great. And then you turn the corner, and the other side of Kendra is, who am I? And still on that journey of self-discovery and asking yourself constantly, why am I doing this?
Yeah. And it just, after I left the hospital and came home that day, I just was like, I don't know what the answer is, but I know this isn't the path, and this isn't long term. So that was in November, that particular year. It's New Year's Day. Then my stepfather has to be ambulanced and have an emergency surgery for a heart issue. And so I'm like out of work again for that week. And then the next February, I had plans. My best friend was getting married in New Orleans. And so I was taking almost a week off of work to travel down to be with her for that, because I live up north in Ohio. And then we went on spring break, our scheduled spring break in March. I'm like, my boss is probably like, what is going on? We just gave her all this time off, and here she is still taking all this time off. But, I'm like, I already had this wedding plan, the spring break plan. Anyway, it was on that spring break. We were sitting on the beach, and I'm watching my boys just enjoy life and like living their fullest. They're digging with their little shovels in the sand, and like the sun's glistening on the water. We're sitting in this cute little cabana. And I just looked over at my husband. I was like, I think it's time. And he's like, time for what? I was like, it's time to focus on family. it's time to stop climbing the corporate ladder and, lean that ladder on our home. And like, what can we do? How can we figure this out? And so he's like, can we talk about this when we get home? So we did. And not even a week later, I resigned from, a very well-paid position with an incredible boss, with an incredible company. And it was the best decision that we could have ever made together for our family. And then, we had to make some changes to make that happen, of course. But I wouldn't trade it for the world. But a year into this new life now, I was like, I've got to give myself some purpose. Here I am seeking this purpose again. And so that's really where I got into my entrepreneur side. I got started volunteering in my community. I'm the board of my local nonprofit here in our community for causes for women and children. And I was like, this is kind of cool. This is fun. But about a year into that, I went on this retreat. And Tracy, that was the moment that I discovered, oh my gosh, I am meant for so much more of a calling.
Oh, I just got goosebumps, Kendra, when you said that. Oh, that's so exciting. When you finally find that moment of purpose. Oh,
yes. And it was through this woman actually I went to high school with that I hadn't talked to in, 20 years. Anyway, she was leading this great fitness and faith-based retreat. And so, I grab a girlfriend. I'm like, hey, you want to do this? And she's like, sure. So anyway, we drive 7 hours to this retreat. And it was an incredible experience. It was like the first time that I'd ever done that, like taken time away just for me, just with other women in a small, intimate group to really just focus on ourselves. And I would just encourage women to do that, even if it's a day. When you are surrounded by people who are really focused on coming together to help one another, lift each other up and grow, there's a lot of power in that, But through that experience, Tracy, I reconnected my faith with the Lord. And I was like, no wonder. I've been seeking this all the time. And I didn't really know what I was seeking. And I think it was him seeking a relationship with me that I hadn't fulfilled. And since that retreat, I get up most days, not every day, because the times are a little different right now with the whole coronavirus thing. And I meet in the early hours and have a conversation with God. He continues to speak prophetic words into my life. And that has just changed everything.
So glad. I'm so glad. And you can see your face just light up. Although we're doing podcast, we're still talking through Zoom. I can see your face light up, and I can see your whole expression just change when you talk about reconnecting with your faith and finally finding your purpose. Because it is a journey. It is a journey of self-discovery. And if that has always been sitting on your shoulder and you're wondering, when am I going to see this? When am I going to find this? How am I going to do this? And then you've got to make changes to see changes. And that's when you were open to it. I'm so pleased for you.
Yeah, it's crazy that it took over 40 years to come to that. But I would just say, never close your mind to what is still possible ahead of you. No matter your circumstance, no matter your age, no matter your stage in life, no matter your mistakes, no matter the tragedies, keep your mind open to what is still to come, because there is a purpose for us. And I see you, Tracy, walking out purpose by just your platform here of Victim to Victory. That's a piece of what you and your purpose and your calling. And so my words are for people to never close their mind off to that and show up as you are, no matter how much baggage you bring, no matter how many mistakes you've made, no matter any of the past. You are worthy of greatness, and be willing to take that baby step into what that potential could look like for you.
I think that is a powerful message, Kendra. And you've lived quite a journey of self-discovery, overcoming those financial burdens, which, creates anxiety and a lot of problems within itself and a self-struggle. And you found a solution by looking inwards and thinking, how do I solve this? And using yourself to drive yourself. And that's a skill that, and a character trait that not a lot of people have anymore, because they're always looking for someone else to do it for them. So to look deep inside and problem solve for yourself, to go on and find your purpose, and things don't change unless we change, and you're the perfect example of that. And I love that message of just recognizing that you are worthy. I absolutely love that. I know our audience will love that as well. And what is Kendra doing now? What are you doing
now?
What are you doing in 2020? Where are you now?
Yes.
Because I know you're a powerful entrepreneur.
Yes. So I'm a full-time entrepreneur and mom and wife and all the things. I am so excited to just so many incredible things. But because of my mom's, cancer and that journey, it just really opened my eyes up again, this like awakening, if you will, slowly peeling back the layers of making sure that I'm really thoughtful about what I'm putting in my body, on my body, and how can I really serve my family in that way. And so we're just continuing to make steps and changes towards living a cleaner lifestyle, less toxic products. And so I've partnered with a company, and we're just leading that charge and that mission to spread that throughout, so it's exciting.
And that's another layer that you've peeled back, another step in your journey. And I know you're doing absolutely amazing. I would absolutely love to share your story with everybody. And if you want to connect with Kendra, her links will be posted here as well. Thank you so much today, Kendra. Your message is powerful and strong. I really appreciate you. Our audience will appreciate you, and I know they'll connect with you on so many different levels. So thank you very, very much for being brave to share your story. You know you are appreciated. She is absolutely wonderful, everybody. Please contact her if you want to know about non-toxic lifestyle, because she will help you out with that. And you can find our podcast on YouTube and our Facebook group, Victim to Victory podcast series. And if you got value from today, please subscribe, like, and comment. And I'd like to leave you with a message today of step into your power and let your voice roar. Thank you, Kendra.
Thank you, Tracy.